When we speak of respect in old age, we often imagine it as something our children or society owe us simply because we have lived longer. But respect does not come through age alone. It must be earned continuously by the way we carry ourselves. Independence, above all else, is the foundation upon which true respect is built. It is not about rejecting love or support, but about refusing to become a person who leans so heavily on others that they forget how to stand tall on their own. As we grow older, there is a subtle but powerful temptation to let go of our independence. The body grows weary, our sense of purpose can blur, and it feels natural to turn toward our children as a source of security, company, or even entertainment. But in doing so, we can unwittingly undermine the very relationships we want to nurture. Children who see their parents living with strength, continuing to make their own decisions, and remaining engaged with life, develop a natural admiration. On the other hand, when they see parents who constantly need emotional reassurance, financial help, or day-to-day management, they begin, often unconsciously, to feel burdened, and respect gives way to tolerance or worse, irritation. This is not a moral judgment, but a psychological reality. Human beings instinctively respect what is self-reliant. Whether it is a person, a leader, or even an idea, we value that which stands on its own. When elders demonstrate their ability to handle their affairs, make choices for themselves, and keep a spark of curiosity about the world, they send a powerful signal. I am not here to be carried, I am here to walk beside you. This mindset transforms the parent-child relationship from dependency into partnership, where love flows freely rather than being tainted by unspoken resentment. Philosophically, independence in old age is also a profound expression of inner freedom. Throughout life, we chase external securities, jobs, relationships, social positions, believing these will keep us safe. But the true test comes when age strips many of these away. Can we remain rooted in ourselves? Can we find contentment without constant validation from family? Independence does not mean isolation. It means knowing that your sense of worth does not depend on how often your children visit or how closely they follow your advice. It is about realizing that respect cannot be demanded, it is evoked by the quiet dignity of someone who knows who they are. Psychologically, dependence breeds anxiety, both in the one who depends and in the one depended upon. When elders call their children every day with worries about small matters, they create a cycle of stress. Children begin to associate every interaction with problems to solve rather than joy to share. Over time, they may avoid contact altogether, not because they don't care, but because each conversation feels like an obligation. In contrast, parents who take responsibility for their emotional well-being give their children the gift of seeing them as resilient individuals. Interactions become opportunities for genuine connection, free from the heavy undercurrent of neediness. There is also a social dimension to independence. When older people stay active, volunteering, learning, contributing to their communities, they remain valuable not only in their family's eyes but in society's as well. An elder who continues to live with purpose reminds everyone that aging is not a decline but an evolution. They show younger generations what it means to keep growing, regardless of physical limitations. And this presence, this energy of continued engagement with life, commands a respect far deeper than anything demanded through words or expectations. But independence must come from an authentic place, not from pride or stubbornness. Some elders mistake isolation for independence, refusing any help out of ego rather than clarity. That is not independence. It is insecurity disguised as strength. True independence recognizes that accepting help when genuinely needed is part of wisdom, but never letting that help become the basis of your identity or self-worth. It is about consciously choosing interdependence rather than unconscious dependence. As you contemplate your own path into old age, or the way you relate to the elders in your life, remember that the foundation of respect is not built in a day. It is shaped by the daily choices you make to stay curious, to find meaning beyond family expectations, and to carry yourself with the quiet assurance that your life has value in and of itself. When you live in this way, you will find that respect comes not as something you chase, but as a natural response from everyone whose lives you touch. If you wish to be respected in your later years, do not seek it in the eyes of your children. Seek it in the strength of your own stride. Let your independence speak for you, for it will echo louder than any words ever could. So many times, people imagine that becoming a burden simply means depending on someone for food, money, or shelter. But the subtler and often heavier burden we can place on others is emotional. We may not even realize it's happening. A parent who constantly seeks reassurance, who shares every anxiety or disappointment with their children, who expects them to fix every emotional discomfort, is unwittingly creating a deep sense of pressure. Over time, this emotional weight can be far more exhausting than any financial or physical need. Human relationships are delicate. They thrive not when they are saturated with neediness, but when they are balanced with a sense of ease and joy. When elders make every conversation with their children an opportunity to unload worries, whether about health, loneliness, or disagreements with neighbors, they subtly train their children to associate them with stress rather than love. Slowly, the children's instinct shifts. Rather than reaching out eagerly, they pull back, they delay visits, they feel tension before every call. This is not a sign of children who do not care. It is a natural response to feeling perpetually responsible for someone else's emotional world. Emotional burden often emerges from a misunderstanding of love itself. Many believe that if they love someone, they must share every thought and fear with them. But true love is not about dumping your insecurities on another. It is about sharing strength, inspiring growth, and being there for one another without drowning each other. When you cultivate emotional stability in yourself, you give your children the greatest gift, the space to relate to you as a whole fulfilled person, not a fragile being who must be constantly reassured. Philosophically, to avoid becoming an emotional burden is an act of profound respect, both for yourself and for others. It means you recognize your own inner landscape as your responsibility. It is a commitment to tending to your own fears, doubts, and feelings, not by suppressing them, but by developing the tools to process them without leaning entirely on your children or anyone else. This self-respect is what others instinctively respect in you. Psychologically, each person's capacity to hold another's emotional pain is finite. It is like a vessel that can overflow if too much is poured in at once. When you regularly fill your children's minds with your worries, you leave little space for them to share their own joys, struggles, or dreams. Conversations become one-sided. The relationship grows lopsided. Over time, the child who once felt close begins to feel trapped. This is how good intentions can erode closeness, not from malice, but from an unawareness of how emotional dependency poisons connection. Avoiding this trap is not about becoming cold or distant, it is about cultivating emotional resilience. When you learn to hold your own pain with grace, when you develop practices, whether meditation, reflection, or engaging with supportive peers, you become emotionally self-sufficient. In turn, your presence becomes a source of calm for your children rather than a trigger for stress. You will notice that they visit more eagerly, call more often, and share more freely because they no longer brace themselves for the burden of carrying your fears. There is a subtle beauty when an elder listens more than they complain, when they share stories of curiosity and wisdom rather than tales of perpetual worry. This creates a magnetic pull. Children and grandchildren want to be around someone who is emotionally generous, who listens without judgment, and who radiates a sense of peace. It does not mean you must pretend everything is perfect. It means you choose what to share wisely, knowing that dumping every emotional wave you feel onto someone else does not bring closeness but distance. The world respects those who manage their inner state with awareness. This self-mastery is rare and precious. Even when you do need help, if you have cultivated emotional stability, your children will offer support out of love, not duty. They will trust that their help is truly needed, not a bottomless pit of worries that can never be filled. Reflect for a moment on the elders you admire most. Are they not the ones who, despite life's difficulties, remain emotionally steady? Are they not the ones who laugh easily, who listen attentively, who offer comfort rather than seek it constantly? This is the model worth aspiring to, because it creates relationships based on respect and joy rather than pity or silent resentment. If you wish to be loved without feeling like a burden, become the one who brings lightness into your relationships, not the one who drags them down with unending concerns. Carry your own heart with courage, and you will find others come to you not out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to share in the life you so fully embody. One of the greatest misunderstandings in human relationships is the idea that closeness guarantees respect. Many parents in their later years believe that being physically or emotionally near their children at all times will keep their bond strong and their presence cherished. Yet, life in its own quiet wisdom teaches a different lesson. Respect often grows best from a certain distance. Like a beautiful painting, relationships are best appreciated with a little space, where one can step back and truly see the whole picture. We must understand that excessive closeness, even when rooted in love, can create suffocation. It can blur boundaries, lead to misunderstandings, and generate a silent resentment that neither side can easily articulate. When elders feel the need to constantly be involved in every detail of their children's lives, whether it's their careers, relationships, or decisions, they cross an invisible line from supportive presence to controlling interference. Over time, this makes children feel watched, judged, or pressured. Rather than deepening respect, it corrodes. Respect thrives on the freedom to choose. When children feel they can invite their parents into their lives without compulsion, that invitation becomes a gift. But when every day is an unasked for visit, a call demanding attention, or advice given without being sought, the relationship shifts from one of mutual regard to one of silent endurance. The heart longs for relationships that give it space to breathe, to unfold, and to find its own balance. When elders create this space, they become sources of calm rather than sources of stress. Psychologically, closeness can become a double-edged sword. The more we are in each other's pockets, the more every small disagreement or difference of opinion becomes magnified. Small irritations that might have dissipated with time and distance turn into simmering conflicts because there is no room for perspective. In contrast, distance allows emotions to settle. It gives both sides time to reflect and approach each other with fresh eyes and an open heart. When elders allow for this space, children return to them with gratitude rather than guilt. Philosophically, distance honors the individuality of everyone involved. Each soul has its own path, its own lessons, its own timing. Parents who remember that their children are not extensions of themselves, but unique beings with their own destinies, find it easier to step back. This stepping back is not abandonment, it is the highest expression of respect. It says, I trust you to live your life. I am here if you need me, but I will not impose myself where I am not called. This quiet trust plants the seeds for genuine respect to flourish. Consider the example of the sun and the earth. The sun is the source of all life on this planet. But if it moved too close, it would scorch the earth. If it drifted too far, it would freeze it. It is precisely the right distance that makes life possible. So too in relationships. The right distance nourishes love and respect. It allows people to feel safe, free, and capable of being themselves without fear of constant intrusion. Many elders think that stepping back means they will be forgotten. But stepping back wisely with love and grace makes children seek you out all the more. They come not out of obligation but out of genuine affection because they feel respected, trusted, and free. In that space, they remember your presence with warmth rather than weariness. Distance does not mean disconnection. It means conscious connection. It is the art of knowing when to reach out and when to simply hold the other in your heart. It is the wisdom to wait for an invitation instead of forcing your way in. When elders cultivate this awareness, they find their relationships becoming more joyful, more relaxed, and more respectful. This does not mean you should live in isolation or reject your children. It means you must resist the urge to hover, to meddle, to involve yourself in every detail. Offer support when asked, give advice when invited, be present when needed, and spend the rest of your time cultivating your own interests, friendships, and inner life. So you come to your children not as a restless soul seeking purpose through them, but as a fulfilled person who enriches their lives simply by being there. If you wish for respect to deepen in your relationships, remember that closeness without space becomes a cage, but closeness with space becomes a sanctuary. Choose to be the sun that warms from the perfect distance, and you will find that your presence brings light, not heat, to those you love. There is a dangerous myth many carry into old age that the sole purpose of a parent's later years should revolve around their children and grandchildren. While love for family is natural and beautiful, when your entire identity becomes tied to your children's lives, you not only lose yourself, you also burden them with the silent expectation that they must be your only source of meaning. This is neither fair nor wise. If you truly wish to inspire respect and keep your relationships healthy, it is essential to invest in your own fulfillment beyond the family sphere. The truth is, your children want you to be happy but not dependent on them for that happiness. When you pursue your own interests, whether it's a passion for music, gardening, reading, travel, or serving your community, you send a powerful message. Life does not end with retirement or once the nest is empty. Rather, it becomes an opportunity to explore parts of yourself that were set aside during the busy years of work and raising a family. This sense of ongoing growth is magnetic. It draws people to you and commands respect. Psychologically, having your own pursuits keeps your mind sharp and your emotions balanced. It protects you from falling into the trap of waiting by the phone for a child's call or obsessing over how often they visit. Your attention shifts from what is missing to what is possible. A fulfilled elder radiates a quiet confidence. They do not come to their children with an empty cup demanding to be filled. They arrive with an overflowing heart eager to share. This changes the entire dynamic of the relationship from one of obligation to one of mutual enrichment. Philosophically, seeking fulfillment outside the family reflects a deeper understanding of life. Each of us comes into the world with a unique purpose, a longing to realize our own potential. To believe your journey is complete simply because your children are grown is to miss the sacred opportunity that aging provides. To go inward, to find peace with yourself, and to contribute your wisdom to the world. This ongoing engagement with life ensures you are not just existing but truly living. Many elders tell themselves they are sacrificing everything for the family. But is it truly sacrifice if it comes from a place of fear? Fear of loneliness, fear of insignificance, fear of death? Genuine love does not come from clinging. It comes from fullness. When you are fulfilled, your love is no longer a desperate need but a joyful offering. You can give without expecting, support without controlling, and celebrate your children's lives without feeling left behind. There is also a social dimension to personal fulfillment. Elders who remain involved in activities, communities, or creative endeavors bring fresh perspectives and inspiration to others. They remind both the young and their peers that aging does not mean fading away. Their very presence challenges the notion that old age is a time of decline. It shows instead that it can be a time of flowering. This role is invaluable in a world that too often sidelines its elders. Consider what happens when an elder says, "I cannot wait to show you what I painted," or "I learned something fascinating yesterday," rather than only saying, "Why don't you visit more?" or "Why don't you call?" The energy is completely different. One approach draws people closer, the other pushes them away. By staying engaged with life, you create relationships grounded in curiosity and shared joy instead of guilt or pity. Investing in your own fulfillment is not selfish. It is the greatest gift you can give both yourself and your family. When you find contentment within, you release your children from the unspoken burden of being your only source of purpose. You give them the freedom to live their lives fully, knowing you are strong, whole, and capable of finding happiness on your own. This, more than any demand or expectation, earns lasting respect. So, take time each day to nourish your soul. Seek out what excites you, challenges you, and brings you peace. Let your life remain an adventure until your last breath, not a slow waiting room for the end. When you do this, you show your children and yourself that life's value is not measured by age or dependency, but by the light you continue to bring into the world. If you wish to be truly respected, become a person who finds joy and meaning within yourself. For a fulfilled heart commands reverence more powerfully than any demand ever could.